Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Sav Social 912 podcast. I'm here with Chris and Megan, the owners of the Paranormal Museum, and we're going to kind of kick off spooky season, talk about some updates that you guys have going on at the museum and some events that are coming up. Last time we talked, you guys were just doing your opening like back in May. So how has it been, 3 months now, right?
Yeah, it's been incredible, honestly.
No, we've had an incredible turnout. We've had so much good feedback, too. Everybody who comes through really does leave a little bit of themselves with us. They're quick to respond to the things that make them feel oogity-boogity. And
we've had a lot of people, they'll come through and they'll tell us what freaked them out. A lot of people come in and they're like, I found you on TikTok. You're the TikTok people. And that's really nice.
No, your content's been amazing since opening.
We're attempting to post once a day on TikTok. Yeah. So sometimes it's a haul and sometimes things just take off. So it's been really fun.
Definitely.
But they'll come in and they'll tell us how they found us and they'll go through and then they'll tell us what they liked here and what freaked them out. And it's been wonderful.
So what items are top of the list with that?
So I would say that probably the most remarked about thing is Jeb.
I thought it would be Emeraldine.
I thought it would be her too.
It's not.
But they don't remark about her. They talk about their interactions. They talk about it because by far she's the most interactive. People have definitely had more experiences with her.
She has her own room.
But people are kind of very chill about Emeraldine.
Mostly they're like, she said get out.
She said get out, or she told me my mom's name, or she said this or that. And so it's interesting because when people talk about having like feelings of like
seeing something move, making them uncomfortable. It's Jeb.
Yeah, Jeb.
Which is a little blonde child doll we have standing up in his own case in the main room.
Yeah, it looks like a very unruly toddler.
And people and it's the same thing they think with him. They see him raise his right arm.
Yeah.
And we've seen it.
Yes.
And so that they've seen it is not surprising.
Just by itself?
Yep. Yeah, he's in a case. So they see him, and it looks like he's like maybe reaching out for you, and you're like, I don't like that. And I saw it. The very first time I handled Jeb, I saw it, and I kind of thought it was maybe his body settling or something like that. But then, starting with our grand opening, we started having people report the same thing, and they weren't at the same time.
Wow.
They were just like spread out through the day, and now spread out over many, many visits.
I've had a woman show me her phone, a video she took of Jeb, and have me watch like a 2-minute video to see him move. And I couldn't quite tell in the video, but she was convinced.
She was convinced,
absolutely.
And
she caught it on film.
Yeah. Well, where did you guys get this item?
So it is on loan from the Paranormal Society of Savannah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they had it up in their, they had like a coffee shop that was running as
Haunted Grounds.
The Haunted Grounds.
Oh, cool.
Coffee shop.
It's not open anymore.
Yes.
And so Patrick, who owns it, that business, donated a couple dolls on loan for us. And they were the first things here before anything else was here.
Yeah.
Before we had walls here.
Yeah, before we even put the walls up.
Yeah, the doll collection is definitely growing significantly. And I know the last time we talked to your mentions of the Jack in the Box.
Yes.
That
the Jack in the Box is probably my most, like, the one that gives me the most pause.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of, like, strange sensation around it, and having handled it a couple of times, I definitely feel dread around it.
Yeah. Are there any like precautions you have to take when handling these items?
We don't let him handle them. Because he's too sensitive for a lot of them. He'll get the dizzy, like the pinhole, like he cannot handle them. I am a blocker.
Yeah, a shield.
So me and Justin, our curator, can handle them.
Yeah.
But like as far as sitting in the museum,
we actually went through a long process of cultivating and curating items that are protective as well. So we have as many blessed items as we have cursed items. We have as many protective items as we have destructive items. And sometimes an item will come in and we will be like, well, we're going to have to do something about this.
Just to protect the
This
masses.
may need something. We just recently got a Japanese possible demon infested vessel. And so we brought in some Japanese protective things, some Shinto prayers, there's an actual Japanese character called Shiko the Demon Queller. And we were able to get a vintage representation of that character, and it's supposed to keep demons at bay.
That is so wild.
And we've also had somebody who dropped something on our porch. This was a huge deal.
I saw this
I'm
clip.
sure you did.
Yeah.
Somebody in the night dropped something on the porch, and our curator Justin found it in the morning and opened it up, and it was this clown.
Yes.
And all I'll say is we need more things dropped on the porch. Bring us your haunted things.
If you have things that you don't want in your home or in your life, you can bring them to us and we will take care of them. Because they're haunted.
Not because you
don't drop your kid off or
yeah, the haunted
that
thing.
one dog that just doesn't behave.
I mean, I bet that Japanese demon is very surprised to be in Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what is this? And even more surprised to find Japanese demon hunters right here.
What?
Waiting for it. Yeah.
Simply iconic. You guys never cease to amaze me. So obviously it's been a success since the opening of your doors this spring. But you guys have some events happening this fall. I know you have a cross promotion, like a paranormal tour, right?
Yeah. So Saturday nights we have paired up with Kelly Tours, and we have what do we call it?
So it is the Savannah Paranormal
Museum
Trolley and Museum Tour.
And so that's
we had to make it as plain as possible.
As simple but specific. So that goes every Saturday night. It starts from here, the trolley goes around town with a tour, and then it ends here with a brief tour through here, and then people can spend a little bit of their evening in the museum as well.
That's so cool, especially at nighttime. It's probably a completely different vibe.
Yeah, especially coming into the fall, seeing as night doesn't actually start until like 10 p.m. during the summer.
Yes.
Now it's getting dark earlier, and it makes this place is incredibly creepy when it's dark. Like when it's dark outside, it has a whole different feel to it.
And with these summer storms, we've had a few times where the power's gone out, and that's been so great. So great. One time somebody was in here and they screamed. I'm like, this is the vibe.
Yeah.
Oh my
But we hand out flashlights and people carry on.
Yeah,
They're like, great,
absolutely.
thank you.
No extra charge.
Which leads us to our After Dark investigations.
Evidence After Dark. So I have them booked right now in September and October. This is basically after we close. So it's going to be from 9:30 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. We're going to let a group of up to 10 people come in, and they will get to have one of us to guide them, access to all of our ghost hunting equipment, and we will do an investigation here in the museum.
And we encourage them to bring their own ghost hunting equipment or other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If a group books it out, they're 10 themselves, they can ditch us and just do their own thing. Like, we'll still be here chilling out, but if people want to learn how to ghost hunt and ghost hunt in this space, one of us will be on hand to help them through it, so people can do the Estes methods, they can use the spirit chats, they can try and communicate, and we're here to help as much as people want.
Yeah.
But it's really an intimate evening. It's up to 10 people, and I think I've got them on Wednesdays and Fridays all throughout October.
That's fascinating. Now, I have to admit, I have personally never been on a ghost hunt before. Silly me. Probably should have had that.
This is a great opportunity.
That and like fighting vampires are on my to-do list.
Yeah.
But so what is like if somebody wanted to get into ghost hunting, what would be like your entry recommendations? Is there like equipment they should buy? Is there a certain like mindset?
I hold off on equipment because that is one of the first things that happens is people get purchase happy.
There's so much money you can spend.
And I would say try to find groups. There are a lot of groups. There's a lot of paranormal groups that do investigations.
And you can get involved
with them. And then there are a lot of tours that offer, a glimpse at it. I know that the Savannah Theater offers an investigation tour, and so does the Sorrel Weed House.
Yes.
And that gives you an opportunity to utilize equipment and see how it works before you purchase, because a lot of people will buy them blindly and then they just have this equipment that they're not 1,000% sure of, or they only have YouTube tutorials to go by.
Even some of the walking ghost tours around here will offer equipment during the tour to give it a test out, because it can get expensive very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And familiarizing yourself with ghost stories by taking tours or paying attention to local legends and history, that really helps you kind of figure out where you want to investigate and how to conduct investigations. Because there's a lot of places in Savannah where you can just stand in front of a building and be like, oh yeah, that's haunted.
I'm getting the wookies.
Definitely.
Chris always is saying that your best ghost hunting tools is your eyes and your ears.
Yeah, your intuition.
Absolutely.
It's a heebie-jeebie meter.
The heebie-jeebie meter. So we spend a lot of ghost hunts sitting around going, did you hear that?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
There's a lot of that going on, yeah.
So the ghost tools can make it more interesting, more fun. Especially the Estes method is probably my favorite one. And of course, like when people come in here, they can rent the Spirit Chat, which is that EMF reader attached to a word bank, and they can take it through the museum. It feels random sometimes, and then sometimes it's really very specific.
Yes, yeah, I can only imagine. So do you guys have any places, since like Halloween and spooky season's coming up, like are there any kind of like iconic places in Savannah with a good ghost story, or like
there's so many.
I feel like there's kind of like the outward facing stories, and then there's like if you're a local there's
Yes, absolutely. You know, the beauty of Savannah is Savannah embraces all the ghost stories. So they are readily available and right on the surface. So you have all these surface stories that are great. You know, you have the Keogh House, the 1790, the Marshall House, the Savannah Theater, Sorrel Weed. You could go on and on and on. It just, the sheer volume of ghost stories in Savannah are incredible. But if you ever get a chance to just talk to a local, you're just literally like, hey, do you have a ghost story? It's amazing how quickly people are
it's like a rite of passage.
Exactly.
If you live in Savannah, you have one ghost in your house.
And they're fascinating because we've gotten to a point where we have a lot of these polished stories that we know who the ghost is, and that is not normal. You don't get to know who your ghost is. You don't get to figure it out. You know, you get to have a series of bizarre and random experiences, see strange things. And you'll never actually know the name of the person, how they died, what happened to them. It is actually a very rare occurrence where the history just drops into your lap, because I can't tell you how many stories are basically odd encounters. People who are like, I was in my house and I heard this strange sound, and when I turned around, there was a man standing in the corner.
Oh my God.
And then you're like, well, who was it? Like, I don't know. Yeah. A man in the corner. It freaked me out. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I would live right off of Bay Street on Habersham, and I was in this house. And one night I was watching TV, and I looked over, and there was a man dressed like an old fisherman. He had the old Greek fisherman's hat, and he was standing in the hallway. And when I first saw him, I was so certain that he was there that I was like, okay, I'm just going to slide to the floor. So I slid to the floor thinking, and for those people who don't know me, I have swords everywhere in my house, especially under furniture. So I was like reaching for a sword under my furniture. And when I was looking under the couch, he didn't have feet. And there were no feet. And I was like, did he leave? And I looked up, and he was still standing there. But when I looked down, I was like, there are no feet on this man. I'm just going to stay on the floor.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do?
Smart.
I did have an interview with Inika.
Oh, yeah.
And she was telling me a story about how she was walking and saw a figure and turned around and there was no one there. And she kind of gave us some tips on.
Yes. Believe it or not, you generally don't see ghosts straight on. You see them out of the corner of your eyes.
Yeah, peripherals.
So your peripheral vision is very helpful as a ghost hunter and trust your peripheral vision. You see something moving over here and you turn and you look and it's not there. Don't say, oh, well, there's nothing there.
Definitely.
Our minds are kind of programmed to protect us. So if there's a ghost standing in front of us, our mind can nope it. It'd be like, I'm sorry, we're not going to look at that, and turn off that piece of your mind. But the peripheral is designed to protect us from predators that are coming to attack us. And so we're far more perceptive in the peripheral for that kind of thing, for things that we don't understand and don't see. So when we look at it and it disappears, it doesn't mean it wasn't there. It means that our brain hadn't filtered it out.
Yes. And I feel like you can sense energy when it's around.
Oh, absolutely.
So I feel like there's some hot spots for ghosts and entities in the downtown area.
Oh, yes,
Do you have
absolutely.
any ones? I have a few I would mention. But
the easiest accessible one is, of course, Colonial Park Cemetery. If you have an opportunity to go to Colonial, even though they lock it at night, you can walk the entire perimeter of the cemetery. And the back of the cemetery, where there's a playground there, that is still the cemetery. There's still bodies buried right there while you're walking over that big patch of grass. That was the old dueling grounds. So people used to shoot and kill each other on that patch of grass. So just that, having that access, being able to walk through or around that cemetery is a wonderful place to kind of get your supernatural grounding on.
And then on your podcast, The Most Haunted City on Earth, didn't you guys do a special about there was a kid ghost sighting there?
Yes, there's a pretty famous video of a kid ghost, but before the video ever came out, decades and decades of stories of people encountering this small child in the cemetery. Most people who walk dogs would hear a child asking if they could pet the dog or about the dog. And when they turn to look, there's no child there, but they distinctly heard it. So there's lots of stories about the child in
Can I pet that dog? It's a ghost.
But I will say, I obviously am not experiencing a lot of ghosts as much as you guys probably are. But I feel like a lot of the paranormal activity I've experienced in Savannah is kid ghosts. They're more
children ghosts. This is something that is kind of interesting. Children ghosts kind of operate differently than adult ghosts. And part of that, in my belief, is that as we're growing up, we're given all of these ideas about death, and we're knowledge about death and what death means, and we wrestle with it. We come up with all these philosophies and these answers, and those answers become restrictions when we die. When we die, the things that we believe hold us in place. We can't just go on. But children don't have that theory. They haven't been introduced to the rituals of death or the idea of death or what it means to be dead. They all just think they're still alive. They all just think that this is the part of life where you can walk through things, where people don't see you. And so whereas the adult ghosts kind of need attention, they have to haunt and get attention.
Yes.
Children can actually feed themselves through imagination, which is something that adult ghosts don't really have. Adult ghosts kind of lose their imagination for their existence, whereas a child thinks it's a wide open, which also makes children ghosts kind of dangerous because they can affect more change. They can do more things because they don't think of the limitations of being a spirit. Whereas an adult, even if you don't realize it, you're building a profile in your belief system. Even if you can say all day long that you don't believe in ghosts, even though you can state what you do and do not believe, inherently we have internal beliefs that we can't turn on and off. You know, I can say all day long that I don't believe that there's a boogeyman in my house, but in the middle of the night, in the dark, when something's making a weird noise in the corner and I look over into the shadows, some part of me is thinking, it's the boogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, and so we can't just undo it. We can't undo beliefs, and they are shackles when we are spirits.
That was a very good answer, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes. So I wanted to ask a few questions about like haunted buildings in Savannah, quote
absolutely.
unquote. So, and if you can tell me the story,
Sure.
cool. If not, we'll move on. But so like the Cirillo Weed House.
The Sorrel Weed House, is an amazing haunted house, and luckily it is open for ghost tours and ghost investigations. And the story is basically that Francis Sorrel had come into America. He wed into a pretty prominent family. His first wife, Lucinda, she passed away from yellow fever. His second wife, Matilda, which is what most people believe they encounter there, threw herself from the roof of the building after finding Francis and the head slave woman of the household having a relationship. And even more tragic is that slave was hanged soon after, and many people believe that it was Francis who hanged her. The reports suggest that she hanged herself, but in many occasions when people do investigations there, they'll hear someone pleading for help in the servants' quarters.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of great, like, narrative material there. A lot of people believe that there was a lot of voodoo practice in the house because Francis actually came from Haiti after the Haitian Revolution, and he brought slaves with him, and that tends to add to the mystique of the building. But overall, it's just this amazingly beautiful mansion that has all of the vibes you need for a good, scary time.
Yeah. So I feel like over the years, I've heard like cross stories about that, and then the building where Husk is right now.
Oh, so 12
So,
West
like,
Oglethorpe.
so can you tell me because I used to live at 17 West Oglethorpe, and there
gosh.
was some
You
spooky,
must have had some spooky stuff,
very
absolutely.
spooky things that have happened.
So-
but what's the because I think some of those details got absorbed in from that other house.
They should not have cross-contaminated at all.
Yeah.
Because technically, the base story of 12 West Oglethorpe is about a doctor who, during the yellow fever epidemic, would do his best to try to help everybody he could, and then his family contracted yellow fever and passed while he was out.
Yeah, they
helping other
begged him
people.
to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
And it stands as kind of a lesson about sanitation while washing your hands. But so the tale is about this despondent and saddened man and his children who died there, and his wife who died in the building. It had been a school, and the children who went to the school oftentimes talked about encountering children spirits in the building and having all these things. It was the Benevolent Order of the Elks Lodge. They talk about having the doors lock or unlock at weird intervals. having all kinds of sightings and things. It fell into disrepair and disuse for about 20 years.
Yeah, it caught on fire a bunch of times, right?
And it would catch on fire regularly. And one of the reasons why it caught on fire so much was people went in to do ritualistic things, seances, various things, because when people hear there's a ghost story, they oftentimes gear up, grab their Ouija board and their candles and go in. It also was a flop house, so there was a lot of drug use and people just kind of hiding out in there because it was an easily accessible building.
Yeah.
Lots of crime there. Many people were dragged in there, beaten, robbed, unmentionables, and that became just this constant story. Now I have a very long and bizarre story about the space, but suffice to say, there was like human blood found in the building. There was like all kinds of craziness attached to the building, and the building itself just sort of loomed over the city of Savannah for a long time.
And when you walk in front of that building, you can sense there's like a heavy energy.
Oh, absolutely.
We even went to eat there after they were open.
Yeah,
We were like, we gotta check this out. Oh my gosh. And I would say it was a weird experience. We were sat in the ballroom, and the serving staff was very well dressed, very professional. It felt like a high-end experience, and they kept kind of like
they kept falling over,
bumping into us, and like tripping over.
I had a similar thing where I felt like I went to dinner and everyone around was like playing a part. And not, or it was just weird. Like they were like planted or something.
Yeah, we all like two of us thought we had
I thought I had a nosebleed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
It felt like a nosebleed. Went to the bathroom.
And we vaguely mentioned while we were eating about how haunted it was, and one of the waitstaff heard us, and they grabbed Chris, and they're like, "What?"
Right, because
Tell
they
us.
were the setup staff, so they were actually coming from Charleston, so they didn't know the history of the building.
But they were obviously having problems.
But they were having problems, and they couldn't figure out. Like at least 2 trays were dropped in the time that we were there, and I think that they were really rattled because they had been, they're professionals. They
came from the Husk in Charleston,
Right.
Is that right?
Right.
And they were used to, and they were going to run it, and then things were
It's a
going
high-end
wrong.
restaurant, and they are high-end wait staff, and so you could tell they were shaken.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a lot of I don't want to say like spiritual static, but for me, or like I'm obviously not a pronounced paranormal person, but I feel like I'm sensitive to energy. But being in there felt like if you had like an analog radio where like the energy kind of felt like chaotic and fuzzy, but then you'd get something like clear, or you could just like tell.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's I usually use the radio analogy to talk about psychic ability. That we all have it, but we choose to kind of tune in on the most convenient station for everyone, the clearest and loudest
what
station.
linearly makes
right,
sense.
Exactly.
Definitely. But yeah, that's a very haunted spot.
Yes.
So
incredibly.
I'm glad you could clarify the difference between those two buildings.
One is definitely an austere family story that is very Savannah, the Sorrel Weed House, and the 12 West is a compounding story, starting with a doctor and his family, and then moving through decades and decades of misuse or disuse or abuse, and then ritual.
Yeah, a long history.
A long history.
So, can you share any pieces of your long story with it, or is it too scary for the podcast?
It's not so much too scary for the podcast. It's so involved. It's a long story, but long story short, in my life, I believe I have seen the devil 3 times, and the 3rd time was at 12 West Oglethorpe.
I don't doubt that. So are there any other cool structures in Savannah?
Sure. Well, we kind of lost access to the Moon River Brewery, which was right there on Bay Street, which is a phenomenally haunted location.
Definitely one of the most haunted.
I can't imagine it'll stay closed long because of the nature of Savannah and the nature of the building.
I feel like it's that basement, though.
It is the basement,
I've worked on a few movies that were shot down there, and like you could be there in the middle of the day, and it is so scary.
Intense. And one of the stories of that was that it is believed that in the basement there is this one room that when the first time I went in, it was even before it was Moon River Brewery, that door looked like an old boat, like you spun a wheel to open it, like a vault.
Yeah.
And on the other side, the floor was still dirt. They hadn't even bothered to like put any kind of cement down or rock down. And the story is that was a vault where they kept slaves when people traveled with slaves, because the slaves weren't allowed on the 2nd and 3rd floors. So people would have slaves that carried their luggage and traveled with them, and when they weren't directly serving, they were put in this vault. And in Savannah, without any type of air conditioning in the dead of summer, that vault was probably an oven. And so the belief is that people died in that vault. And so the basement is just full of this thickness and heaviness and just this insane sensation of aggression, really.
Yeah, there's some heavy energy in that building for sure. And then there's the Pirates House is obviously really old.
Yeah, the Pirates House is an amazing bit of Savannah history, too.
That's the oldest building in Savannah, right?
It is. It was originally the garden, where the trustees' garden was, and so the main structure was built for the head gardener of the trustees' garden. It later became this sort of wayward house for sailors kind of tavern. And in its history, there's a lot of stories of sailors being, plied with alcohol and then dragged away onto the ships.
Yeah.
Sometimes they would be beaten in the tunnel if they got unruly, and sometimes those beatings resulted in death. So we actually have some Pirates House artifacts, things that were found in the tunnels beneath the Pirates House.
Because there's tunnels all over Savannah, but they're sealed, right?
Yes, they started sealing those tunnels in the 90s. And a lot of those tunnels were converted into our sewage, our power. A lot of the utilities utilize those tunnels now and make it unsafe to go in. But every now and then they'll be doing like road work or they'll be doing something. If you ever get a chance in downtown Savannah while they're doing a lot of road work, you can actually look into the ground and you'll see that the tunnels all have the street names like carved into brick over the archways. It's really very cool, actually.
Have you ever been in them?
I have. I've been in. So I was in the tunnels before they were able to seal them off. There was a very large tunnel entrance kind of at the end of City Market. There was another one kind of near the Pirates House. There was another one near Mary Telfair. And then, of course, there's the famous morgue tunnel in the Candler Hospital parking lot, which is now
out on the south side?
No.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So Candler was the big across from Forsyth Park, where the
it's now SCAD.
It's now SCAD building.
Yeah, but that used to be tunnels that go out to the park.
That used to be a mental health facility.
Oh my goodness.
So run by Candler. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know sometimes if you're walking down the street and you can see like where the street's sunken in, it's because there's a tunnel and all that. Right. So that's fascinating. I've never gone to the tunnels myself.
So it's almost impossible to get into any tunnels.
That'd probably be one of the scariest experiences because who knows it's
terrible
in there.
It is so full of bugs and so full of darkness.
I think there's like gators in there and stuff.
I don't think there's gators in there. I don't think. I wouldn't know because we didn't see any gators. I'm now thinking that there has been a couple of times when I've seen gators in the Savannah River.
Yeah.
And that's kind of weird because it's brackish water and it's not really good for alligators.
Yes, but, I've seen one as well. And a few dolphins, that's for sure.
A couple of dolphins.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else like spooky or Halloween-esque that you guys want to share?
We do have an event coming up on Halloween.
That's true.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, this is prime real estate for you guys. So what's going on Halloween?
So it's called Midnight Methods.
Yeah, Midnight Methods.
And basically, on Halloween evening, we're going to have an event here where we're going to have different stations where people can test out ghost hunting equipment. And so we're actually bringing in the most haunted city on earth podcast people, Chris's podcast buddies, the Savannah Psychics, and then we'll be here.
And so there'll be automatic writing, there'll be Estes method, there'll be, just utilizing new tools and interesting tools.
And so we'll have stations where people can go around and watch the method happen, and then if they want, they can try it out themselves.
That's so
cool. And we
cool.
were just in contact with a local author who might be interested in doing like a book signing of their horror book. And we have possibly the eldest daughter from the Conjuring House.
No way.
Yeah,
she's going to come and sign books.
She's
here,
actually bringing us a artifact.
Well, I can't believe how lucky Savannah is to have such a talented group of paranormal specialists. And I love how you guys have like built a community as well. I'm really excited for Halloween and to see everybody come together. So thank you for joining me. I think we'll bring it to a close unless there's anything.
No, I think we're
anything else.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Emeraldine, do you have anything to say? Just like get out.
Oh yeah, she's giving us the eye.
Get out.
Exactly. Awesome. Well, I hope I can follow up with you guys again and have an amazing spooky season.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys. You stay social, Savannah.